Chapter 374. Angelina said warmly, "Then I will have to trouble Clan Elder to discuss with the various chairmen to come up with a plan." The power of the constellation was extremely precious. It represented the life force of the constellation itself, and was controlled by the master of the constellation. Only those with special contributions could enjoy the power of the constellation. Her first sentence seemed to be irrelevant, but the hearts of everyone present couldn't help but shiver involuntarily. Angelina had a smile on her face, but in her cold eyes, there was not a trace of a smile. Hearing that, she walked into the hall. Angelina turned and asked the 10th clan elder. Angelina leisurely walked through the crowd, walked to the most empty seat, sat down and chuckled. "This time I have gathered everyone here is to discuss about the energy beasts. If anyone has any thoughts, you can speak your mind, there is no need to hold back." 100 energy beasts was 1.5 billion star coins. When Angelina appeared, everyone's quarreling quickly calmed down. Of course, the star power has a fixed amount. Who uses more, who has less, there needs to be a rule. Clan Elder, let's discuss it later. Angelina said indifferently. The so-called fairy weaving technique is to use the materials that contain energy to weave and fuse together to make fabric. The process is complicated. Andromeda constellation's inheritance does not have much of an advantage in battle, but the control of true power is exquisite. Adding that there are many women, it developed the fairy weaving technique. The fairy weaving technique is renowned in Heaven's Road, and an outstanding fairy weaving technique can be compared to a star treasure, just like how Fornax's constellation is good at forging. Tang Tian, who was not muddle-headed, suddenly became difficult to handle. They have lost their leader. In the East, this is called a group of dragons without a leader. Before a new leader appears, there will be a transition period, and at this time the original second-in-command will take over as the temporary leader. Do you know what characteristics the second-in-command has? Angelina's snow-white wrist supported her chin as though she was thinking, as though she was talking to herself. To them it was an endless stream of star coins. No one made a sound. They were not satisfied with Angelina's plan, but at the same time they were not dissatisfied. Crane understood Tang Tian. Upon hearing Tang Tian's tone, he knew that Tang Tian was definitely planning something. What is everyone doing? Having energy beasts is a good thing. Why are you quarreling in your own nest? Angelina laughed. Plateau Army will return to Fairy City in 2 weeks. Tang Tian exclaimed, "Isn't that creating secret treasures?" Madame Yu and Master Li couldn't suppress the joy on their faces. After receiving 1.5 billion, the three of them could not hide their joy. "Yes," Angelina said solemnly, "the speed at which a constellation nurtures treasures is extremely slow, but the power of the constellation is extremely dense, and the treasures formed from this method are extremely outstanding. Moreover, it has another advantage. If the quality of the fabric is very similar, then the secret treasure formed will also be very similar." Angelina knew that she had to give him some carrots, so she continued, "Speaking of energy beasts, you reminded me. The previous generations of constellation masters only nourished the energy beasts. This was understandable since the star power was limited and there was no need to waste it. But now that Andromeda constellation's star power has accumulated a lot, and we are also in such a predicament, so we must first strengthen ourselves and survive. I've decided that from this month onwards, I'll take a portion of the star power and grant it to the Commerce Alliance." The 10th elder nodded. "Master's method is very good." In the blink of an eye, the noisy hall was empty. Who doesn't have star coins? Do you have weavers? Without weavers, the energy beasts are just piled up in the freezer and are just a pile of frozen meat. Whoever has more weavers will be able to distribute more energy beasts. That is the most reasonable. If there was star power bestowed, then the weaver's level could directly increase by 1 level, and their improvement would be even faster. The quality of the fabric would be even more outstanding, and the rate of quality products would increase greatly. In their subconscious they need a leader. And you must become their leader and do not give them the power to hesitate. Angelina suddenly laughed, but her gaze slowly became cold. She unconsciously imitated him. That cold gaze always made her lose the will to resist. The 10th elder was somewhat gratified, although Angelina was ranked 3rd in the past, but her recent performance made the 10th elder look at her in a different light. He knew Angelina's intention, but to him it was the right thing to do. According to what the other party said, using the fabric to nourish the star treasures Wouldn't it be like mechanical spirit weapons? The originally quiet hall immediately exploded. The remaining energy beasts in the hands of the guests will be purchased by the Commerce Alliance. Any businesses that privately touch them will be severely punished. The interests of the Commerce Alliance is everyone's interests. Harming the Commerce Alliance's interests is harming everyone's interests. And the quota for each family will be linked to the investment. Clan Elder, what do you think? Crane's question was what Tang Tian and Ling Su had in their hearts. Even Tang Tian, who suggested to bring them, was shocked by the price. 15 million was enough to buy a decent silver-grade star artifact, or even a silver-grade South Heaven artifact. Angelina did not hide anything and continued, out of all the materials, the energy beasts are high quality. They are formed from pure energy, and the fabrics weaved from them are of outstanding quality. But the true reason why they are worth 1,500 star coins is because the fabrics weaved from them after being nourished by the star power can transform into fairy treasures and are treasures grade. 100 energy beasts was like throwing 100 heavy bombs into Andromeda City, causing all the businesses in the city to go crazy. When everyone heard the news, their first reaction was, it must be fake news. Energy beasts were so rare, how could 100 of them come out at once? Who in the Andromeda City did not know the value of the energy beast? But when the person in charge of the businesses heard the news, ran to the Commerce Alliance headquarters, and saw the neatly arranged energy beasts in the freezer, he exploded. At the door, Angelina stopped in her tracks, quietly listening for a while. Her face did not have any anger, but instead revealed a smile. To her, these energy beasts were a great opportunity that could not be any better. What kind of logic is this? The opponent had more than 100 energy beasts in their hands. We have not found a hotel yet. Crane smiled and shook his head. The three of them were then enlightened. The group of people quarreled until their necks were red. Some of the more violent people immediately rolled up their sleeves. The 100 energy beasts will be produced by the Commerce Alliance's weavers, and in the end, the star treasures that are nourished will be distributed according to everyone's contribution. No matter how many energy beasts you have, we are willing to eat them all. Angelina said without hesitation. She could hear that the three of them had a large number of energy beasts. Such an opportunity was extremely rare, and she would definitely not miss it. Angelina bowed and returned the greeting. You are too courteous. Tang Tian and the other two perked up their ears, their faces full of curiosity. He was absolutely right. Angelina looked at the cautious expressions on their faces, and could not help but admire her own master's judgment even more. Angelina was very satisfied with the result. She could clearly feel their reverence, and it made her indescribably happy. Angelina and the rest could not help but laugh. She explained, it must be your first time coming to Andromeda Constellation. Andromeda Constellation's trade is flourishing, but in terms of geographical position, it does not have an advantage. The reason why there are so many businesses is because of our unique fairy weaving technique. Many of their faces revealed embarrassed expressions. This was the Commerce Alliance headquarters. 1.5 billion star coins was not a small amount, but it was still there. Angelina immediately called for the general accountant and paid 1.5 billion star coins, and Masterly also finished inspecting the 100 energy beasts. They were all of outstanding quality. Bullshit. Why would your Li family give out 2 billion? If there is meat, everyone can eat it together? You have 2 billion, who doesn't? Command them, feed them, and they will get used to obeying you. Angelina was also not clear on this, but Madame Yu, who was at the side, immediately replied, the entire process requires roughly 3 months or so. What consumes more time is the nurturing at the back. The weaving at the front only requires roughly 2 weeks or so. Angelina arranged for an exclusive manor by the lake for the three of them. The environment was beautiful. It was her family's residence, just that she rarely stayed there. The facilities and decorations inside were extremely exquisite. Angelina even specially assigned 20 servants to clean the entire manor once again. Even the floor was so clean that one could see one's reflection. The originally quiet hall became even quieter, to the point that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Bing had never been interested in star treasures. The reason was simple: the quality of star treasures were all different, and their effects were all different. Even if it was a star treasure from the same constellation, there would be very few that were exactly the same. For a large-scale promotion, this was a fatal weakness. But mechanical spirit weapons were much more balanced and more suitable for armies. That's right, that's right. Angelina was surprised. Such a number far exceeded her imagination. Energy beasts were not cabbages, they could be bought whenever they wanted. Her mind moved quickly, she knew that the most important thing was to keep these people. He snatched the topic. For such a woven star treasure, how long would it take for it to form? The fairy weaving technique itself was an application of Andromeda constellation's martial techniques, and was closely related to star power. After the bustling calmed down, Angelina's eyes flashed a trace of fatigue. Let's sell 100 first. Tang Tian thought for a while and said. Compared to making decisions, they are more used to giving advice and assistance. Their obedience is greater than their independence. Angelina was elated, she stood up and bowed. The three of you are our esteemed guests, and it is our duty to entertain our guests. Leave this matter to me. I hope the three of you will give us this opportunity. Everyone then chuckled and the atmosphere became harmonious. Angelina rushed to the Commerce Alliance headquarters, and upon entering the courtyard she heard the intense quarrel. She truly envied his tenacious mental state. Although the Han family has met with some setbacks, but just a mere 2 billion can still be taken out. Star Treasure Army? The low and cold voice was extremely clear in Angelina's mind, like a brand. Yes. The 10th clan elder sighed in admiration, then said, Everyone please follow me. After settling the three of them down, she hurriedly left. The 10th clan elder laughed. Everyone, don't make things difficult for me later. This time no one spoke. I wonder which hotel the three of you are staying in? Angelina asked eagerly. No matter how much we have to pay, we have to take down the energy beasts in their hands. My Li family is willing to pay 2 billion. The dazed Tang Tian quivered, he had acutely sensed the crux of the matter. Crane knew the rules and looked at Tang Tian and Ling Su, seeing that they did not care, he agreed, then I will have to trouble you. Chapter 375. That's right. Tang Tian was enlightened. Angelina carefully read the report in her hands. Her beautiful eyes filled with a strange look. Lupus constellation, the three of them actually came from Lupus constellation. Because Leo constellation is much stronger than us. Once Andromeda constellation falls into Leo constellation's hands, then other than forming an alliance with them, we have no other choice. This kind of alliance will only exist in name and we will only become cannon fodder. Bing explained. Andre had a head of dazzling golden hair, his actions were decisive, similar to his father Lei Ang's style, and was deeply liked by Lei Ong. Since young he had displayed extraordinary talent, and what made people happy was that his talent as a military leader was equally outstanding. When he was in the Lion King Military General Institute he was the most dazzling genius in the academy, and his results in the military chess deduction class were unparalleled. He only used 2 years and completed his studies and entered the army to practice. In history there were very few spirit military leaders left behind by famous generals, and all of these famous generals were all-powerful people, and most of them held high positions, so why would they allow their martial spirits to be enslaved by others? Bullshit, it's written all over your face, Crane thought to himself. Don't tell me you don't think that's a good idea? Tang Tian was flabbergasted. Suddenly Bing thought of something and asked suspiciously, You don't look like someone who is interested in armies. Why are you suddenly interested in armies? Hey, I'm not done yet. Andre was extremely satisfied with Angelina's attitude, and at the same time Angelina was extremely satisfied with Andre's attitude. Andre stood with his hands behind his back. Hearing that, he laughed. Your Majesty, what are you saying? It is Andre's honor. If every constellation master was as handsome as your Majesty, then the world would definitely be peaceful. Father heard about Her Majesty Asda's matter, and before I set off, he specially reminded me to take good care of Andromeda constellation. Andre, who sat down, had a solemn expression. Father said Andromeda constellation is a friend of our Leo constellation, and is an honorable martial alliance. To treat our friends so brutally, the entire Leo constellation will definitely not allow it. Angelina's eyes moved. If even Leo constellation is considered a rural place, then where should we Andromeda constellation go? Angelina was shocked. Is Leo constellation finally here? Tang Tian rubbed his chin. That makes sense. Andre's face revealed a radiant smile. The textiles of Andromeda constellation have always been the best in Heaven's Road, especially the textiles made from energy beasts, which can be nurtured into treasures. I heard that Andromeda constellation obtained 100 energy beasts. I wonder if your majesty can provide 100. Yuan Ji was surprised by Andre's evaluation. His expression suddenly changed and said softly, "Someone is coming." Crane was perspiring in cold sweat. "Lupus constellation, is it not enough for you to torment an army? This is not a question of whether it is good or not." Crane did not know whether to laugh or cry. Angelina's anger surged. It was a blatant robbery, and suddenly his words surfaced in her mind. His tone was sonorous and powerful without any sloppiness. It was extremely domineering. With one successful move, Tang Tian became even more excited. His intuition became sharper and sharper. Before his opponent could react, he used his right palm, which was tightly placed on his opponent's fist, as a fulcrum. His body spun around like a pendulum and pressed into his opponent's embrace. "Thank you, Uncle Yuan." Andre calmed down. His first priority was to ensure Angelina's safety. From the looks of it, Andromeda constellation was much more important than Lupus constellation. Moreover, he was very confident in Yuan Ji's strength. Yuan Ji, who had his eyes half closed, also opened his eyes, a cold glint flashing past. Tang Tian did not need to think to know who it was. He was extremely familiar with the martial technique sects of the Honorable Martial Alliance. The fist martialist was first surprised, then immediately became overjoyed. The opponent did not escape. He bellowed, and without hesitation he welcomed Tang Tian's fist and punched out. The fist martialist only saw a blur in front of him. Tang Tian's figure was like a ghost that barged into his embrace. He lost all color in his face. Before he could react, his chest trembled and he lost control of the true power in his body. He tried his best to raise his head, and his gaze followed the 10 beautiful fireflies. Tang Tian's eyes suddenly revealed a fierce look. Since when was this godlike young man afraid of a head-on clash? The anticipated intense clash did not happen. The Honorable Martial Alliance fist martialist only felt that his fist had landed in a swamp. The opponent's ghost claw was stuck to his fist. The dense fist aura was like a raging wave suddenly arriving. If the situation was not urgent, he would not take such a risk. But at that moment he could not care about anything else. Angelina's face did not reveal any clues. Andre suddenly laughed. "That's true. Then I wonder if I can meet the 3 guests from Lupus constellation and purchase a few energy beasts?" True power flowed through his back and the plucking technique was suddenly released. Tang Tian's mind was enlightened. The opponent's chi was locked onto him. No matter where he ran, he would not be able to escape from the range of the opponent's sword. The feeling of being able to change from one's heart was truly captivating. The Honorable Martial Alliance's famous martial technique. Great Honorable Fist. This fist technique was created by a senior from the Honorable Martial Alliance. It was a martial technique that had the qualifications to be called unique. The middle-tier martial artists in the Honorable Martial Alliance had a wide range of training. The guards that Angelina sent were not the opponent's match. In the blink of an eye they were all killed. Tang Tian saw that the situation was not good. Without saying anything, he immediately rushed into a shop by the side of the street. She took a deep breath and smiled like a flower. "I will send someone to invite the 3 guests. Awakening blood meridians and star treasures, such an army would definitely be very powerful." Angelina smiled. "With your highness's words, Angelina can rest assured." A fist rapidly enlarged in his eyes. "The difference is you cannot retreat, but they can." The blade martial artist seemed to have awoken from a dream. At the crucial moment he displayed his shrewd and ruthless side. He completely ignored Tang Tian's slash and swung his blade backwards. An earth-shattering power came from behind him. Tang Tian felt as though he was rammed by a charging rhinoceros. He felt a sweetness in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire being flew forward at an even faster speed. The opponent's fist aura released a dense killing intent. Like a raging wave, it surged towards Tang Tian's face. Tang Tian was not afraid at all. Instead, his face was filled with excitement. Success. Tang Tian wanted to go to the weaving workshop to see how the Andromeda textiles were made. Although Bing held a cautious attitude, but it was not enough to sway Tang Tian's thoughts. If all the energy beasts were sold, it would be an astonishing sum of money. But Tang Tian did not lack money. Although it would make people jealous, but Tang Tian gradually understood. There were many times when money was not everything. Angelina's heart trembled. Andre had said Lupus constellation. That meant that they had already investigated Tang Tian. Andre was surprised that Angelina was so straightforward. In his mind, Angelina would definitely not be willing for him to interact with Tang Tian and the rest. But very quickly he reacted. Energy beasts were good things for Andromeda constellation, but to other constellations they were not very useful. The group of old men from Leo constellation were professionals in killing and arson. Asking them to play with needles and embroidery was just making things difficult for them. A martial artist wielding a sword shouted. Together with another martial artist, they soared into the sky and shot towards the roof of the shop. They wanted to cut off Tang Tian's path of retreat. Andre was surprised. He squinted his eyes. Angelina's firm attitude was out of his expectations. Chase. Andre sat down again and smiled at Angelina. Your Majesty, relax. With Uncle Yuan's strength, even in my Leo constellation he rarely has a match. Andre was about to move when Yuanji suddenly said, Your Majesty, stay here and accompany Her Majesty Angelina. Leave the three of them to me. Tang Tian's newly comprehended sticky character arts. Not good. But we need them too. While he was in shock, he did not notice that a ghostly figure had already rushed to his side. His palms quietly slashed horizontally without any light aura. His 10 fingers were like hooks. Dazzling sparks spewed out. At the bridge, the other fist-type martial artist brazenly rushed into the shop. The opponent's sword made Tang Tian feel that he could not avoid it. Without thinking, he suddenly exerted strength in his palm. Go and die. His eyes flashed with a terrifying light aura. He suddenly let go of the blade. Almost as soon as she destroyed the shop that Tang Tian was in, Tang Tian rushed in front of her. His speed was as fast as lightning. Spiraling energy shot out from Tang Tian's fingertips like 5 high-speed rotating drills, piercing into the light sword barrier. Gold-ranked martial artist had another name, Gene 3000. Anyone who could be called a gold-ranked martial artist would definitely be ranked within the top 3,000 in the Heaven list. Similarly, the top 3,000 of the Heaven leaderboard were also known as the Golden Region. Hong, countless swords of light gushed out from her body like a flood, shooting straight into the sky. Her previous attack had missed again. Tang Tian did not hear it. His chest was pounding so hard that he wanted to shout to the sky. What a strong aura. Tens of thousands of light swords were like a torrential downpour, washing over every corner of the street. At the same time he appeared in front of Zhou Xian. The battle intent in Tang Tian's body exploded. Tang Tian's eyes were burning with battle intent. This is the power of a gold-ranked martial artist. Puff. Did you see that? Hong. Using the same method he continued to rush into a few shops. Suddenly Tang Tian's body swooshed out of the shop. Xianxia, who was also a unique martial technique practitioner, was able to identify it very quickly. Xianxia regained her composure, and the true power in her body started to circulate rapidly. Her true power seeped into the armor on her body, and spots of light appeared on the surface of the armor. The spots of light gathered in her palms at an alarming speed. Suddenly Tang Tian's body stopped. However, you are only qualified. Just like unique martial techniques, there are differences in strength. Xianxia looked down from above and said indifferently, Let me show you what a real unique martial technique is. A golden palm blocked Tang Tian's fire scythe ghost claw. Bang! The moment he landed, he nimbly somersaulted and landed steadily on the street. Without looking at the ball of fire above him, the sword-ranked martial artist had already turned into ashes. Ding! A sword fell from the sky not far away from him and shattered into pieces. Tang Tian did not look at it, and the true power in his body slowly recovered. He turned around and ran towards the direction of the manor. Ling Su and Crane would definitely be attacked. Deep pride and confidence made his body stand even straighter. Good eyesight. Xiaoya has always felt that Mr. Tang is a genius. Before we left, the branch leader had advised us that the misunderstanding between Mr. Tang and the Yi family is not worth mentioning. If Mr. Tang is willing to join the 13th Gold Branch, the branch leader is willing to mediate the conflict between Mr. Tang and the Yi family. The other party was like a blazing sun. Just by standing there, the surging energy fluctuations were like raging waves, rippling out in all directions. And that sword shadow, it was blurry like the wind. The spectators retreated backwards in fear. They thought that they were safe from the battle. However, the power of Zhou Xiaoya's sword had shocked them. The speed of this mechanical beast was very fast and its charge was very powerful. What surprised Lu Hai was that the aura of the mount and the knight were one, and there were no flaws at all. If it was before she still remembered the instructions of the branch leader and wanted to recruit Tang Tian, then now there was only one thought in her mind, and that was to chop this fellow into pieces. Only then could she vent the hatred in her heart. Not everyone in the crowd was panicking. A gold-ranked martial artist? A blurry and slender figure had appeared above his head without him noticing. Two fierce-looking men were discussing in a low voice in a dark corner. In the honorable martial group, gold-ranked martial artists were existences that people looked up to. The 13 gold-ranked branches were the core strength of the honorable martial alliance. Even the 13th gold branch had many strong martial artists, and many of them were just a step away from becoming a saint. His gaze was fixed on Ling Su, who was rushing towards him. However, Zhou Xiaoya's sword had destroyed all the houses. Suddenly his eyes twitched. No matter where they went, they were considered to be unreachable existences. Yet they were defeated by an unknown person. Even though it was only 3 moves, it was enough to make the arrogant Zhou Xiaoya feel like she was about to collapse. Suddenly, a blurry figure appeared on her left side, and a dazzling spark appeared from the left side of her vision. Her left palm caught the claw firmly, and the powerful force caused her left arm to go numb. Heh! A light laugh came out from Ling Su's mouth. That heroic face, the orange-red pupils had long burned silently, transforming into a sea of fire. The power of a gold-ranked martial artist was much greater than an ordinary elder. His expression was stern and he slowly lifted his heavy feet. Every step he took caused the ground to tremble. Ah, that's right. The bald man laughed. If Zhou Xiaoya really managed to refine the soaring fish fin armor to the gold rank, the Honorable Martial Alliance would definitely take over the Volans constellation and turn the soaring fish fin armor into the saint treasure of the Volans constellation. The bald man laughed. Zhou Xiaoya trained in the light shark sword, a very good unique martial technique. It is much better than Tang Tian's fire scythe ghost claw. The armor she is wearing is the soaring fish fin armor of the Volans constellation. It is said that she has used her martial spirit to refine it for 10 years and has never changed it. Its power is not inferior to the saint treasure of the Volans constellation. She is just a step away from becoming a gold-ranked armor. In front of them there was a tall and sturdy martial artist. He was like a mountain, towering and unshakable. The skinny man did not speak and his eyes flickered. Suddenly, the warm and amiable lips curled up into a shallow arc. Crane's handsome face that caused countless women to feel ashamed, suddenly had an unfathomable sharp aura. The sword aura pierced through the air and the house in the distance was like a cake, sliced in half by a sharp knife. The spear was like a dragon. Twisting. Lu Hai stopped in his tracks. His half-closed eyes finally opened. The light sword in his hand was condensed. Just at this moment the sound of the wind came from the right. Her beautiful eyes flashed and the light sword suddenly slashed horizontally. Crane and Ling Su were on the left and right. Both of them were breathing heavily, but they did not dare to look away. Sweat dripped down their faces and they did not dare to blink. The tall and sturdy figure in the center of his vision was getting bigger and clearer. The scenery in Ling Su's vision was trembling violently. The wind that blew on his face was like a knife. But his entire body seemed to be enveloped in flames. Every inch of his skin felt like it was being roasted. It was as though something was about to burst out of his body. It must be known that this was the business district. It was the gathering place of all the businesses. To prevent robberies, all the shops were built extremely sturdy. Even if a normal martial artist used all their strength, they would not be able to leave a mark on the walls. His red tongue licked his thin and sharp lips. The orange sea of flames in his eyes surged with fighting intent. Under the silver hair, the heroic face revealed a wild excitement, as though a wild beast had seen its delicious prey. Ling Su roared. Flamingo shot out, dragging a long fiery tail like a flaming lightning. He suddenly lowered his waist into a horse stance. His thick and uncoordinated arms were held by his side. The golden patterns on his arms seemed to have come alive. His originally thick and sturdy right arm expanded rapidly. It was actually as thick and solid as his chest. Tang Tian's body suddenly disappeared into thin air. This kind of close combat was her weakness. Her body was pushed a few meters to the side by the force. Suddenly, the sound of wind could be heard from behind her. Xianxia did not dare to be negligent. The light inch sword behind her suddenly folded. Bang! A fierce force came from her back. The light wings were shattered. Xianxia groaned as she floated forward for another 7 to 8 meters. Lu Hai from the 13th Gold Branch of the Honorable Martial Alliance. Both of her legs landed heavily on the ground. Boom! Dust and smoke spread out in all directions. Crane politely reminded her, "Everyone who sees it has a share. It is not a good tradition to eat alone." Crane stood up and wiped his forehead. He slowly took out a bottle of water and elegantly took a sip. "I have sweated so much." Chapter 379. Sihan's eyes twitched. Bad assassin. His body was faster than his brain and his sensitivity to danger was amazing. Xianxia took a deep breath and regained her clarity. She was even more apprehensive. Ding! Bang! Up till now he had not found anything that could withstand the destructive power of the bad assassin. Ling Su and Flamingo landed heavily on the ground. The intense pain caused him to wake up from his stupor, and he revealed a fierce smile. Fragments of the bat assassin rained down on Lu Hai's head. He was indeed a gold-ranked martial artist. "Your Highness is indeed intelligent. If you were to fall here it would be a great victory for us." Ji Meiyu smiled sweetly. Her looks were not as pretty as Angelina, but her slender jade-like legs were extremely alluring. Xianxia was aware of Tang Tian's intentions. She could feel that her true power was being depleted. Tang Tian was extremely slippery. Her light shark sword did not even manage to touch his clothes. "Your Highness has good eyesight to be able to recognize such an unpopular treasure," Sihan said. It belonged to the Southern Sky's 42 constellations Mountain Case constellation. Mountain Case Heavy Glove. After 12 years of refinement by the Honorable Martial Alliance, it had reached the level of a gold-ranked weapon. He still had no idea what this terrifying silver liquid was. However, after a period of time, it would automatically condense from his silver body. Once it reached the maximum amount it would stop condensing. Tang Tian and Xianxia's silhouettes flashed in the air and collided with each other. The entire street was a mess. Xianxia swung her light shark sword and the sword aura spread over a few hundred meters. Ling Su crawled up from the ground and sat back on Flamingo's back. He spat out the mud in his mouth. There was no fear on his face. Instead he became even more excited. "Corvus Constellation's treasure, 9 Raven Cape." Andre nodded. "No wonder Corvus Constellation has been declining for so long. You were the one who secretly extracted the Corvus Constellation's star power." Tang Tian quickly gained the upper hand in the battle and dodged the attacks with ease. "Tang Tian is controlling the rhythm. I've been recognized. So scary." Xianxia's face was not serious. If it was the Honorable Martial Alliance losing 5 gold-ranked martial artists at once, they would definitely feel the pain. "Oh no, how could I underestimate the Honorable Martial Alliance? How rich are they? 5 gold-ranked martial artists are nothing to them, ha?" Xianxia stopped abruptly as she stared intently at Tang Tian. She then raised her light shark sword. Her hair moved even though there was no wind, and her flying fin's armor suddenly lit up with a dazzling light. There was a bloody hole in his fist. The woman in front of him was tall and slender. Her slender legs were tightly wrapped in black leather pants. Light golden spots of different sizes were scattered all over her legs, like the stripes on a giraffe. It was very beautiful. Most people would only think that this was ordinary clothing, but Andre's pupils shrank slightly. No, if this continued it was very likely that she would fail. Tang Tian was in an unprecedented danger. He seemed to be dodging awkwardly but his eyes were blazing with fire. He was waiting for an opportunity to counterattack. "Xianxia greets Her Majesty." The red-haired man greeted Angelina frivolously. Xiaoya's light body technique was not as good as Tang Tian's. However, her flying fin's armor not only strengthened her light shark sword, but also allowed her to be as agile as a fish. With the help of the flying fin's armor, Xiaoya was not at a disadvantage in terms of light body technique. Lu Hai knew that he was in danger. He roared and used his right palm to block the attack above his head. Lu Hai's face did not show any signs of happiness. On the contrary, his indifferent face had become ferocious. The light shark sword was indeed powerful, but Xiaoya was only able to unleash the power of the sword. Her understanding of sword techniques was still shallow. Compared to Yi Zhaogu and Crane, they were not on the same level. Light Shark Sword, ranked 17355 on the unique board of techniques. Andre glanced at Yuanji, who was engaged in an intense battle. He retracted his gaze and looked at the lady in front of him. He laughed. I did not expect you to send out 3 gold-ranked martial artists. Seems like we did not give you enough pressure. Andre, Xianxia and the Bat Assassin surrounded the two of them in a triangle formation. The faint gold color indicated that it had undergone refinement and was slowly evolving into a gold-ranked treasure. The bald man in the shadows was surprised. In terms of strength, Tang Tian was weaker than Zhou Xian. However, Tang Tian had the upper hand in the battle. Tang Tian made use of his constant dodging to control Zhou Xian. Xianxia's laughter echoed in the hall. What was going on? He was at a loss. How did the battle develop to this stage? Tang Tian's strength was much weaker than hers. This victory should have been in the bag. A man with short red hair walked out with a grin on his face. The light shark sword was ranked much higher than the fire scythe ghost claw. Tang Tian tried to clash with it, but the light shark sword was too powerful. His fire scythe ghost claw was instantly destroyed. The difference between 1 star and 2 stars was much bigger than Tang Tian had imagined. However, Tang Tian was in a state of excitement. He was like a ferocious beast. Let's end it here. Her cold voice could be heard throughout the entire fairy city. Crush him. Shark circulation. She was an experienced fighter. She knew that there was a flaw in her state of mind. This was a sign of danger. The immortal martial had a unique evaluation system for unique martial techniques. From 1 star to 10 stars, there were about 2,000 unique martial techniques for each star. The light shark sword was ranked 2 stars. Compared to both of Tang Tian's martial techniques, it was 1 rank higher. However, Tang Tian was not discouraged. His amazing instincts allowed him to successfully dodge. In a blink of an eye, the tables had turned. At this time, Ling Su's silver spear had arrived. Idiot, the tip of the spear just now had a drop of silver liquid congealed from his body. When this judgment appeared in her mind, she was stunned. The word failure was so glaring. Sparks flew everywhere. Lu Hai's arm was like it was made of steel. It did not move an inch. It was as though the spear had pierced into a steel plate. An earth-shattering force came from the spear, causing Ling Su's vision to darken. He did not have time to react. He was sent flying with his bird. 5. Andre's face changed slightly. Then he regained his composure. That's true. I think Tang Tian and the other 2 are your targets. However, with their strength, 2 gold-ranked martial artists are more than enough. Yuanji is 1, so the other 2 are prepared for me. A black figure floated out like smoke. His expression was cold. He was wearing a black cape. His shoulders and arms were covered with black crows. These crows were as black as ink. Only their eyes were gold. Your Highness has summoned me. Sihan would not dare not come. A low voice came from behind him. Crane's heart trembled, but he did not panic. He held the crane sword in his hand. A familiar feeling came from his palm. The long-legged lady bowed. Honorable Martial Alliance 7th Gold Branch G, may you greets your Highness. Your Highness has guessed wrongly. It is not 3 but 5. What a strong power. Angelina was dumbstruck. He lowered his body again and chuckled softly. The excited Tang Tian was extremely sensitive. After a few rounds, he found Zhou Xiaoya's weakness. The tip of the spear collided with Lu Hai's gigantic fist. Lu Hai roared, "Pountain. Since you know how to dodge, I will make sure you have nowhere to hide." The steel sword just now couldn't withstand the power of his sword at all. Before it could hurt Lu Hai, it had already disintegrated. Andre was calm. What about the other one? There's no need to hide. But the battle was not what people expected. Onyx Soul. Jimei said coldly. Tang Tian's fire scythe ghost claw was ranked number 19921, while his wind concealment steps was ranked number 19832. 5 gold-ranked martial artists. You have really invested a lot. Andre laughed, but his eyes suddenly became sharp. But why do you think that I do not care about my life? Feeling the strong wind above his head, Lu Hai struck with his left palm. Xiaoya, who was raising her light sword, suddenly twisted her wrist and stabbed the light sword into the ground. Ding ding ding. Chapter 380. Dazzling rays of light shone from his 10 fingers as he strode towards Xiaoya. He activated his fire scythe ghost claw and clawed at the light spots around him. A densely packed house that was riddled with holes suddenly collapsed. The snowflake-like light spots continued to penetrate through the rubble, causing the pile of rubble to become even finer. Lu Hai did not dare to stop. He continued to punch the sky with his right fist. The black figures continued to fly up into the sky. Lu Hai did not notice that all 13 figures were on the same vertical line. Lu Hai heard the long whistle of the crane above him. He was startled and subconsciously looked up. When the last light spot was destroyed, a bloodied man stood in front of Xianxia with a face full of fear and despair. Bang! How was this possible? He frantically attacked the light spots, trying his best to avoid being hit. However, he had lost a lot of blood, causing him to feel dizzy. The sound of a sword rang out. There were 3 holes in his fist. He was angry. He was not angry because he was injured but because the mountain case heavy glove was damaged. He had spent a lot of effort on this treasure to reach where it was today. It was only a step away from becoming a gold-ranked treasure. He did not know how long it would take for him to recover from today's damage. Lu Hai was extremely proud of his strength. He had never met a martial artist who was stronger than him in terms of strength. This was his strength. He had once blasted a martial artist's body apart with a single punch. This was the first time Tang Tian had encountered such a terrifying martial technique. Although the silver-haired kid's spear technique was good, the difference in strength between them was like heaven and earth. Lu Hai thought that the kid would not be able to get up. He did not expect the kid to get up and continuously attack him 3 times. After receiving 3 heavy punches, even an Iron Man would have been smashed into pieces. Lu Hai did not expect the kid to charge at him even though his face was covered in blood. The palm aura flew out and expanded rapidly. It was like a wall slamming towards the black figures. Feeling the threat of death, Lu Hai used all his strength in this attack. At such a close distance, the shockwave was enough to destroy them. I will kill you. The tip of the crane's sword lit up with a sharp white aura. This was a phenomenon that would only occur when the aura of the sword was condensed to a certain degree. No one had ever lasted more than 3 minutes in the circle of light. His long black hair fluttered in the air. His black eyes were as calm as water. Bang! Lu Hai's stone fist was instantly shattered. Countless rocks exploded and Lu Hai's entire right arm exploded into pieces. Ling Su looked at Lu Hai, who had a hole in his chest. His face was covered in blood and he sneered. He moved his silver spear lightly and it suddenly disappeared. Xianxia watched coldly from the side. She had tried to use this method to break her shark swimming circle but no one had ever succeeded. It was like a school of sharks. If you killed 8 or 10 of them, not only would it not make you safe, it would only attract more sharks. Ding ding ding. She subconsciously looked in the direction of Tang Tian, and her expression suddenly changed. She could vaguely see Tang Tian's crazed figure in the originally impenetrable circle of light. Idiot. The weak sword aura made Lu Hai feel like a child wielding a sword. It was not a threat to him at all. Countless sparks flashed on the palm aura. 13 figures took turns to attack the palm aura. They all used different stances to attack and it was a dazzling sight. But at this moment he had no time to be distracted. Both his legs were rooted to the ground and he faced Ling Su, who was rushing towards him. Suddenly, a heart-wrenching scream came from afar. Xianxia's expression changed. It was Lu Hai. Was Lu Hai in danger? Lu Hai finally reacted. He did not care about anything else. He used one of his giant palms to protect his head and the other to punch the crowd. Crane wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said indifferently, "Rotating sword will Crane dance." He was like a wounded beast and his face was filled with ruthlessness. Ling Su rode on Flamingo, and like a straight line of red flames he charged into Crane's field of vision. Lu Hai's expression changed. In a moment of desperation he did not care about anything else and pushed both of his palms upwards. The 13 cranes opened their eyes at the same time. Bang! He fell to the ground like a wooden stake. No, I need to end this quickly. He clapped his palms and the tip of the sword hit the ground. With a ping sound, Crane was like a huge black crane. He opened his arms and swung away agilely. Lu Hai did not notice that Crane's eyes lit up in the air. How could this be? The black figures were like feathers and were suddenly pushed higher into the sky. Dense explosions rang out. Tang Tian's body was covered in blood. He had become a bloody man and a small pool of blood formed under his feet. But he continued to attack crazily, attacking the light spots around him. A voice full of sarcasm suddenly rang out. Lu Hai heard Zhou Xiaoya's voice and his heart trembled. Zhou Xiaoya had actually used her killing technique. The long whistling sound suddenly stopped, and the 13 black figures in the sky brandished their swords at the same time. But there were too many light spots and there was no way to dodge them. The figure that had not lost its momentum continued to pounce on the other figure below it. Lu Hai's talent was ordinary and he only trained in the ordinary heavy fist technique. But to become a gold-ranked martial artist he had created his own training method. The Honorable Martial Alliance was best at refining treasures. But no matter what Lu Hai did, the results of refining treasures were terrible. He suddenly had an idea and borrowed some of the Onyx Soul's techniques, and implanted the mountain case heavy gloves into his arms. Lu Hai, who was furious, did not hold back at all. His heavy fists were unleashed to the maximum. Victory must be mine, no one can take it away from me. There was only a cold light in the sky as bright as a star. All his struggles were futile. How is this possible? Lu Hai could not believe his eyes. The 13 figures were all real. Zhou Xiaoya looked at Tang Tian indifferently as he activated his fire scythe ghost claw, and the light spots around him were getting denser. An astonishing number of light spots surged towards Tang Tian, and converged into a huge cocoon of light. Fresh blood immediately caused Tang Tian's eyes to turn red. Lu Hai, who was originally angry, became anxious. To him Ling Su was simply unreasonable. Pu. In the next moment his expression froze. The continuous sword hums were so dense that it was hard to distinguish them. All that could be heard was the sharp sword hums. Crane descended from the sky. The moment he landed his legs went soft and he almost knelt on the ground. He forcefully stabilized himself so that he did not embarrass himself. Clang clang clang. Is this the time? He could only dodge with all his might. Bang. A ray of black light descended from the sky. Crane's eyes exploded with a bright light. He tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword. A loud and clear whistle was heard, piercing through the clouds. Suddenly Ling Su turned his bloodied face. Hey sissy, what was that technique called? His flesh and treasures gradually fused together. His strength began to increase at an astonishing rate, and the speed of refining the mountain case heavy gloves also increased rapidly. As for the small problem of his body being uncoordinated, he did not care at all. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. In a short few seconds Tang Tian's body had a few more wounds. Although the wounds were not deep, fresh blood dyed his clothes, and it looked extremely terrifying. Those tiny spots of light were dangerous and fatal. They effortlessly pierced through the house, pierced through the bronze wind chimes hanging from the eaves, and pierced through everything in his field of vision. More and more blood flowed out and the spots of light decreased. You said it before, 13 figures. Every time their swords hit his palm aura, sparks would fly. This was definitely not an illusion. Zhou Xiaoya was at ease. Struggle, struggle, struggle. The more you struggle, the faster you will die. This rascal is crazy. Damn asshole. Kill him. A crisp explosion sound rang out. The spot of light that was hit by the fire scythe ghost claw immediately turned into a mist of light, and then disappeared. Lu Hai's throat suddenly exploded, revealing a fist-sized hole. His anger was frozen on his face and his eyes were wide open. Hey, I am a gold-ranked martial artist. Lu Hai was overwhelmed with shock. In his vision, the spinning black flower suddenly collapsed. 13 black figures, like 13 floating black petals, floated towards him. He suddenly grinned, revealing his snow-white teeth that were stained with blood. He was filled with a terrifying power. Bang bang bang. No matter how many there were, whether it was 100,000 or 1,000,000, they would all be destroyed. Lu Hai had also leaped to become a gold-ranked martial artist, reaching a height that he dared not imagine before. Roars of anger could be heard from within the light spots. He was not dead yet. Destroy them. Shatter them all. He had to kill him with this punch. As long as he destroyed all of them, he would not have to dodge anymore. Clang. No matter how powerful his palm aura was, under the continuous attacks of the 13 figures, it quickly crumbled and turned into countless fragments. The circle of light became thinner. Defeat her and you will become a gold-ranked martial artist. Tang Tian, persevere. The sharp sound of the sword resonated in Lu Hai's ears. Lu Hai, who had just calmed down, was starting to get irritated. If the Ling Su was a cockroach that could not be killed, then the crane was an annoying black fly that kept buzzing in his ears. Tang Tian's roar could be heard from within the impenetrable light spots. Tang Tian was in danger. Lu Hai calmed down, his eyes filled with killing intent. He opened up his fist and waited for Ling Su to rush forward. There was only one thought in his mind, a thought that couldn't be any simpler. Bang. That's right, I can't dodge, but why should I? 13 into 1. Not good. 13 identical black figures formed a circle, each of them pointing their swords at the center of the circle. The tips of the 13 swords were stuck together. Like a flock of large black cranes dancing in the sky, their black sleeves were swept up by the wind, unfurling and changing, like an ever-changing black flower, casting a shadow that shrouded Lu Hai's vision. Crane, who was at the highest point, suddenly opened up his arms and rushed down. He rushed to the head of the second crane without slowing down. The two of them collided and a strange scene happened. The two living figures merged into one. Lu Hai only felt a layer of electricity running through his skin, and all the hairs on his body suddenly stood up. The 13 terrifying killing intents were like 13 sharp needles, pointing at his eyebrows. Lu Hai was in a state of madness. This is Xianxia, who had just made up her mind, suddenly realized that something was wrong. Tang Tian had been struggling for more than 10 minutes. Buzz. Chapter 381. The training they underwent was much harsher than normal training. Suddenly, Crane became cautious. Who is it? The silver Aquarius vase was not opened. It seemed that Zhou Xian did not open the vase after picking it up. Zhou Xian waved his hands at the skinny man. Xianxia was like this. If he were to argue with him, it would be too ungentlemanly. He turned and greeted Andre. Zhou Xian greets Your Highness Andre. All these details caused Angelina to be secretly happy. None of the gold-ranked martial artists were weak. The skinny man did not have any expression on his face, but he was shocked. The Hall Master was not arrogant normally, but he rarely looked up to anyone. The three of them were not bad, but it was not enough for the Hall Master to be so passionate about them. Xianxia's face disappeared and was replaced with a serious expression. I have never heard of them. The fire scythe ghost claw pierced through her chest. Angelina, who was at the corner, was ecstatic. Andre's strength was too strong to the point that she felt suffocated. Originally she was already in despair. If Andre had any conditions, she would not be able to reject him. I am sorry, I cannot make the decision. Crane replied politely. This is too shocking. Andre forced himself to calm down. Zhou Xian laughed. Your Highness is wrong, I was not the one who attacked. Andre tried to probe. Does Hall Master 2 have a relationship with the three of them? Before he left, Zhou Xian turned to Crane. I will be staying at the Fairy Inn for a period of time. Inform me when you guys are done. Whether it is successful or not, it is fate. Don't worry about it. Alright, their injuries are not light. Everyone, let's not disturb them. Zhou Xian said. Interfere? Xianxia laughed coldly. The higher-ups want it. The competition was a bit more brutal. Although more people died, only then would powerful experts emerge. Not only us, the Honorable Martial Alliance is the same. The 13 gold branches are much more brutal than the 12 ecliptic palaces. We are different from you guys. However, although the gold branches and Spirit Hall had great power, they could not directly interfere with the local affairs. The authority of the local affairs was mainly in the hands of the clan elders, and the benefits were divided among the big clans. Crane. Zhou Xian laughed and said, Your Highness, you have a good plan. The Honorable Martial Alliance has suffered a great loss this time. 5 gold-ranked martial artists is enough for them to suffer for a while. We are not hostile. The others were stunned. The scrawny man snorted coldly and glanced at the unconscious Tang Tian and Ling Su. Zhou Xian smiled and said, What do you think? The atmosphere in the 7th Divine Hall is pretty good. There's nothing messy here. We have over 100 unique martial techniques in our palace. We will definitely be able to find one suitable for you to train in. I thought you killed a Saint Ranker. However, recently unique martial techniques had appeared frequently. Chen Zilin was already numb to it and did not feel anything. It was not only him, the entire immortal martial was numb to it. Furthermore, due to the instability of the law and order, The immortal marshal's information system was also affected, and it became harder to get information back. 20,000 unique martial techniques. Most of them were independent and not related to each other. However, there were some unique martial techniques that had deep connections with each other. It was Tang Tian's first time seeing a real gold-ranked star treasure. His eyes were glued to it, and traces of saliva could be seen at the corner of his mouth. 1,000-cleave demonic hand, 2 stars. This was an extremely unique technique. The technique was known for its variations. The so-called technique referred to the fact that there were no fixed techniques. It could be used with fingers or palms and could be changed as one wished. 1,000-cleave demonic hand, emphasized on the word dismantle. It could dismantle tens of thousands of techniques, and there were many variations. It could be soft or hard, and it could be used to find a way to win. Tang Tian, seems like everyone has the same opinion. Crane seemed to have predicted their decision and was not surprised. Then I'll go and reply to Zhou Xian, don't let him wait too long. Oh right, that's the spoils of war. But very quickly the room was filled with his excited cheers. This fellow, unlike the Qilin gauntlets, Lu Hai did not care much for this 2-star unique martial technique. After thinking about it, Tang Tian was relieved. Lu Hai was a fist technique martial artist, and this technique was not suitable for him. The reason why he kept it was probably to see if he could exchange it with someone else in the future. Of course, the chaos of the world would make it harder to gather information, but it would also make the information more valuable. The morale of the entire immortal marshal was high. Cleaning. Bing's poker face twitched. Idiot, this is repairing. Repairing is a very difficult and technical task. Chaotic times? Immortal martial. But among the data, what caught his attention was not the 3 3-star unique martial techniques, but the 2 2-star unique martial techniques. Crane's Wheel of Swords, and Cosmic Spear. Because the former represented creation and the latter represented inheritance. Gold-ranked martial artist? Bing was startled. Ling Su was not interested in these things. He left and said, I'm going to train, don't bother me if there's nothing important. It's so clean. I really want to drink it. Tang Tian licked his lips. The smoke had burned out and he seemed to wake up from a dream. Why was he the only one alive? Bing did not doubt that Tang Tian's future achievements would be much higher than his, and Tang Tian was destined to walk the path of an ultimate martial artist. He couldn't think of a second reason. The sounds of magnetic collisions between the two sides were dense and light. The dazzling sparks quickly dimmed in the repeated collisions. Plop, Tang Tian's gaze was slack as he fell into the sea and the water flowed in reverse. Little guy, you want to fight with me? You're still too inexperienced. That must be it. Tang Chao's lectures had given him a lot of inspiration. A man floated up from the sea. Bing's ideals were different from Tang Tian's. The first military general academy in the history of Lupus Constellation, the Sky Martial Wolf Academy, started to recruit students from the outside world. Bing's voice seemed to have passed through time and space, and floated around the indigo mirror ocean. Tang Tian was dumbstruck. Bing finally exploded and roared, "Scram!" Slowly he started to get used to the smell. He leaned against the door and quietly smoked. The blurry figure on the surface of the unique spirit card suddenly floated out slowly. Sweet. Hey, uncle, you haven't told me how to cultivate unique martial techniques in the indigo mirror ocean. Compared to Tang Tian's ideals, Bing's was much smaller. To rebuild the Southern Cross Army. To him, if the Southern Cross Army was not a mechanical army, then it would still be the Southern Cross Army. An army's inheritance was not about the number of strong martial artists, nor the number of mechanical engineers, but the inheritance of faith. Wow, so mystical. He was not in a rush to throw the unique spirit card into the spirit hall. He was clear that to build an army the most important thing was the people and not the martial spirit. Luckily at least he had the fool. Tang Chao's plan to attack Fornax Constellation had been submitted for a few days, and even Bing had to admit the plan was done very well and the success rate was very high. The Fire Scythe Ghost Claw's finger power could be triggered at any time, and as long as there was a slight contact, it would immediately be triggered. Just now, Tang Tian dared to guarantee that he would definitely have touched the opponent's palm. This is called the Indigo Mirror Room, and every Indigo Mirror Room leads to the ocean. Although martial artists were the strongest in this era, he still stubbornly wanted to build a mechanical army. The Sea of Exile, is an endless prison and will forever imprison sinners. Tang Tian quickly activated his true power, and his fingertips exploded with light, like a beautiful firework, whistling towards the opponent's palm. With a unique spirit card, it would be of great help to his plan. Using the spirit hall in the barracks, there was a high chance that he could obtain a strong enough spirit military leader. Although Ink City could not directly enter Fornax constellation, but it could pass through Eridanus constellation, and then enter Fornax constellation. If the speed was fast enough and the attack was sudden enough, the possibility of conquering it in a short period of time was very high. Enjoy your wonderful life, hee hee. I'm really looking forward to it. This guy hated failure so much, was so brave and fearless and so hardworking and tolerant. Every time Zhou hit Tang Tian's finger, it would remove a portion of his true power. Tang Tian felt that the true power in his fingers was like a deflated balloon, and in the blink of an eye, it was reduced by more than half. If you want to train in unique martial techniques, there is no place more suitable than this. The originally gray figure slowly became brighter and different colors appeared. His flat body inflated like a balloon. Tang Tian was stunned for a moment and vaguely felt that something was wrong and subconsciously replied, I am Tang Tian. Hey, shouldn't I be the one saying that? This sea is the Indigo Mirror Sea. At this time, Tang Tian realized that the opponent's palm had once again entered the attack range of the Fire Scythe Ghost Claw. He was overjoyed. Let's see how you escape this time. Hey. Tang Tian did not have time to defend himself, and only saw a gray figure enter his vision. Tang Tian's heart trembled so fast. The sapphire blue sea was calm without a single ripple, like a huge mirror, extending from the door to the edge of the horizon as far as the eye could see. The sky hung low as though it was within reach, and the soft white clouds quietly stopped there, casting their reflections on the surface of the sea, just like a large-size cotton candy. He had already started to get used to the loneliness of being alone for 10,000 years, used to the vast and empty camp, used to the memories of the ruins. If the commander was still here, he would definitely like this fool, Bing thought. How could it be like this? Tang Tian's face was in pain and his entire body flew out. From the corner of his eyes, he suddenly realized that the opponent was following him like a shadow. He had always been vexed that he did not have any helpers. Since it was like that, then he might as well groom himself. Although this process was slow, but the benefits to the future were real. Countless of hands once again blossomed like flowers, filling up Tang Tian's vision. Bang! The smoke was what he found when he was cleaning the barracks. He remembered it was left behind by Akai. In the army, only he, the old smoker, would spend so much money to build a smokehouse. At that time he remembered that Akai had said proudly that even after 10,000 years, the cigarettes inside would still be safe and sound. Chapter 384. A training base that could accommodate 3,000 people did not need to be too big. Using their previous underground training base as the main body, it was expanded. There were only 30,000 people left in the second round of the test. Alan felt a rush of hot blood to his head. These two words seemed to possess some sort of divine power. The academy was a place where only the rich could enter. There were powerful martial artists and famous teachers there. In his heart, the academy must be a heavenly place. With young Tang's intelligence, how could he think of such a powerful move? The energy concentration of Lupus constellation was extremely thin, and there had never been any strong martial artists. The worrying thing was that the consumption of starstones was simply like flowing water. It would be worth it to die for such a king. Bing was extremely excited. It was his first time encountering such a fiery scene. Bing had already strictly limited the age of the applicants. Only 12 to 14 years old were allowed to sign up. But even so, the number of applicants had already reached 3 million. That also meant that close to 90% of the youths in Lupus constellation were here to register. Who would have thought that instead of conscription they would recruit students? Of course, to Uncle Bing, who would not wake up early without benefits, he felt that this move could not be any better. The spectacle of the various registration points caused the Bing who started it to be dumbstruck. The 5 polar domains fluctuated between 10% and 20%. There wasn't before, but there is now. De Ping said, the Wolf King has just built it. It only accepts 12 to 14 years old. The tuition fee is completely free, and there is a monthly subsidy of 150 star coins. 150 star coins, that's enough to feed a family. Academies. Bang! The courtyard door was pushed open heavily, smashing against the wall at the side, making a terrible clanging sound. Alan was glad that he had reinforced the door the last time he repaired it. Otherwise he would have to repair it again. The Sky Wolf Martial Academy is recruiting students. De Ping said excitedly. This guy definitely wouldn't knock. The rock rushed in like a gust of wind. Luan. In the entire Lupus constellation, there were only 3 academies, and the exorbitant fees were not something that the poor could hope for. Alan had a helpless look on his face. What's so urgent? And this was only the consumption of the energy hall. In the daily training, the training of true power was just one of the basic subjects. Spirit cards, mechanical spirit weapons. Fortunately, these youths of the Lupus tribe were all very diligent. Diligence might not make you a top-notch martial artist, but it could at least make you a decent martial artist. The reason why they were weak was because they did not receive systematic training, and because of the thin energy in Lupus constellation. He had always been waiting for the Wolf King's conscription. The hardships of life had long since taught him that there would always be a balance between receiving and giving. For this awakening potion he was willing to be conscripted. The lives of the Lupus constellation people were like grass. It was normal for them to risk their lives for a bag of rations, not to mention a portion of awakening medicine. Bing's rich experience was showing its value at this moment. In the past, when the Southern Cross Army recruited new soldiers, it was the same. He quickly formulated a few low-level preliminary test standards and quickly issued them. Sky Martial Wolf Academy? Aluan gulped down a mouthful of water. Don't talk nonsense, there is no Sky Martial Wolf Academy in Lupus constellation. There had never been a Wolf King who was so benevolent. It seemed that every time he tossed and turned, the final situation would always be too big for him to handle. The youths of the Lupus tribe had never experienced such dense energy before. All of them greedily cultivated with all their might, not even needing the soldiers to urge them. In other constellations, youths of this age would usually enter an academy to study, but in Lupus constellation, the majority of the youths would already be working at this age. The Lupus tribe were simple and honest. To them, Tang Tian was someone who truly treated them well, and serving Tang Tian was the greatest wish of the majority of the youths. But he did not truly understand the poverty of Lupus constellation. To countless of the Lupus tribe, this portion of awakening medicine would profoundly change their fate. When the Million Awakening Medicine Project was first announced, Aluan did not believe it at all. Only when the awakening medicine was sent to his house, did he then understand that it was all true. The difference in energy concentration of 1%, the difference in training results would be extremely huge. Because training was a process of accumulating over time, the difference of 1% in 10 years, 20 years, or even 50 years would cause a huge difference. Bing only reflected for 3 seconds, then decided to throw the problem to the side, and let the crazy young man torment himself. Aluan had long decided if the Wolf King called for him he would definitely go. To judge whether a constellation was rich or poor, the most important indicator was the energy concentration. After the blood meridians awakened, Aluan's strength had a qualitative leap. And there were a few extremely intelligent fellows, who were extremely good military generals. Bing secretly paid attention to them. This was a terrifying number and Bing understood the meaning behind this number. Bing had a guilty conscience. Remote, impoverished, backward, this was the true portrayal of Lupus constellation. Tang Tian completely did not know what kind of effect the last time he threw out 1,000,000 portions of awakening medicine would have on him. Only the persevering and hard-working Lupus constellation could survive in this desolate place. In a short span of a week, over 600,000 people signed up, and by the second week, the number had already risen to 1,700,000. The establishment of Sky Wolf Martial Academy caused a huge reaction in Lupus constellation. Bing was extremely excited. The strength of the 3,000 people was extremely low, but he did not mind. Picking out 3,000 out of the 3,000,000 people, 1 out of 1,000, all of these youths' talents were outstanding among their peers. As long as a martial artist had ambition, he would choose constellations with high energy concentration. Without saying a word, Aluan rushed out. Bing could not understand, but he decided to carry on with the plan. The awakening medicine was cheap to them, but to the citizens of Lupus constellation, it could change their lives. As long as they were nurtured carefully and provided with sufficient conditions, their strength would soar. Aluan. The northern sky constellation's concentration was between 5% to 10%. With this guy here I can't do anything. Alun patted off the stone powder on his body. Although he was only 12 years old, his physique was already much sturdier than the average youth. His bulging muscles looked extremely robust. In front of him there were many rough rock bricks and his job was to cut them smooth. Alun was one of the beneficiaries of the Million Awakening Medicine Plan. If it was in the past, he would never have dared to imagine that one day his blood meridians would awaken. In the past, to awaken blood meridians required the awakening blood spring, and the awakening blood spring was in the hands of the big powerhouses. The big powerhouses used the awakening blood spring to amass wealth, and the price was not something that ordinary people could afford. But the key was the training of true power. The energy in Lupus constellation was too thin, and the growth of true power was extremely slow. To speed it up, it required additional energy. The Ecliptic Palace constellation's energy concentration was at least 50% and above, and the Overlord Leo constellation's energy concentration was as high as 72%, which was an extremely terrifying number. No one had ever done such a thing before, and Tang Tian's prestige in Lupus constellation had reached an unprecedented height. Those tribes that were originally afraid of Tang Tian's power and influence were now completely convinced. The 10 Equatorial Palace Hall's energy concentration fluctuated between 20% to 40%. Like Sexton's constellation, its energy concentration reached an astonishing 33%. Why were the low-level constellations unable to retain strong martial artists? Was because the energy concentration was too thin. It was as if he had unknowingly created a big hole. Lupus King built it? Alun was startled. He put down the teacup, his face revealing a look of respect. A series of shouts and squeals came from outside the courtyard. Alan helplessly stopped. When would the rock change his fiery temper? That would be great. Alun, hurry up, don't be late. De Ping immediately reminded and then said proudly, I have already registered. Bing was happy and worried. Chapter 385. Indigo Mirror Ocean? Not a bad name. Thousand Hands Demon Lord muttered to himself. If you meet him in the future, you must be careful. Seventh Brother's expression was solemn. His desire to win is very strong. I have never seen a martial artist with such a strong desire to win. Zhang Ming, he rushed forward and grabbed Seventh Brother's neck and shook him. I told you to read, I told you to read. Thousand Hands Demon Lord retracted his gaze and turned his face. Tangtung, do you want to learn the thousand-cleaved demonic hand? Especially when he heard Tang Tian proudly boasting about himself as a godlike young lad, the Thousand Hands Devil Lord could not help but reveal a smile. Ling Su is fun, Little Crane is fun too. But he is more cunning than Ling Su. I have already seen through them. Housefly Cow is also very strong. Wait till he masters the Wild Earth Blade, then we can fight again. All right. Tang Tian, who was at a loss, agreed. After interacting with him, he felt that Thousand Hands Demon Lord was not a bad person. At a faster speed, he fell back and fell into the water with a splash. We, the Honorable Martial Alliance, have stood at the top of the clouds for too long. We have forgotten what the world is like. Who is Xianxia? Seventh Brother raised his head in confusion. Unknowingly, Tang Tian had already treated him as a target. He was not as angry as before and sat down. Tang Tian spoke for a long time. Finally, he felt that he had said everything he had experienced and heard. He stopped and looked at the Thousand-Hand Devil Lord guiltily. Did you understand all of this? A martial artist born to fight? Zhang Ming, he was stunned. He thought that he had heard wrongly. A martial artist born to fight. This was a high evaluation. How could Tang Tian be worthy of such an evaluation? Thousand Hands Demon Lord did not seem to see Tang Tian. He stepped on the crystal-clear surface of the sea and seemed to be thinking about something. His gloomy face was always lifeless. When the light dissipated, Thousand Hands Demon Lord had disappeared. Zhang Ming, he was stunned by Seventh Brother's reaction. Seventh Brother, aren't you surprised at all? A gold-ranked martial artist, that is a gold-ranked martial artist. In this terrifying yet enchanting ocean, it was truly fortunate to meet such a youth. Tang Tian's eyes lit up and he rushed out like a ferocious tiger. But Tang Tian is not like that. He pursues victory. He was a martial artist who would crazily pursue victory no matter the situation. His strength did not stop there. In addition to his desire to win, he also had an astonishing talent for combat, a beast-like intuition and a demonic calmness. I've always thought that these two characteristics contradict each other. I didn't expect to see them on the same person. 7 looked at him and said, I studied the image you gave me last time and came to a conclusion. Let me tell you, Xia was really amazing at that time. Later on, I realized that I was indeed a genius. Xia really has good taste. Wah! Zhang Ming, he blurted out. What? I want to learn. Tang Tian replied without hesitation and asked excitedly, Are you going to teach me? From afar there was a sudden burst of light. That's why you thought it was weird, right? 7th brother said calmly, Actually, you don't think highly of Tang Tian. Although he made 6th brother Yi suffer the last time, you actually thought that he was lucky. You did not put him on the same level as you. Thousand Hands Demon Lord's voice suddenly came from above. Tang Tian, who had just struggled out of the water, was startled and replied, Indigo Mirror Ocean. Zhang Ming, he gasped for breath. That scared me to death. Tang Tian killed Xianxia. Tang Tian calmed down and sat not far from Thousand Hands Demon Lord. His eyes were filled with curiosity. Thousand Hands Demon Lord's strength was unfathomable. He was the strongest spirit general he had ever met. His opponent's martial techniques had reached perfection. Looking at Tang Tian's blank expression, he did not have the intention to explain. Instead he asked, Tang Tian, can you help me with something? About the same as me. 7th brother said word by word. He is a martial artist born to fight. Hey, what's the matter? 7th brother did not even bat an eyelid. His eyes were glued to the book in his hands, unwilling to move away. What a beautiful ocean. 7th brother looked at the stunned Zhang Ming and thought for a while. Actually, there is something that I have always wanted to say. Today I will take this opportunity to say it. I understand. Thousand Hands Demon Lord nodded his head. What about 6th brother Yi? Zhang Ming, he nodded his head. 7th brother's analysis of 6th brother Yi was indeed reasonable. 7th brother's face was flushed red. He could see stars in his eyes. He raised his hand with difficulty and signaled Zhang Ming to let go. Because of 7th brother's words, Tang Tian had entered the eyes of the higher-ups of the Honorable Martial Alliance. He could not even block one move from his opponent. This was like a bucket of cold water for Tang Tian, who had just defeated Xianxia. Tang Tian was not discouraged. Instead, he encouraged himself in his heart. Tang Tian, you will definitely surpass him. After a long time, 7th brother regained his senses and stared angrily at Zhang Ming. Then he would dissipate like a bubble. The Thousand Hands Demon Lord raised his head in surprise. What entered his vision was a sincere face. Thousand Hands Demon Lord's name. He had never heard of him before, but he was so powerful. There was always someone better than him. The world was much bigger than he had imagined. His speed of improvement will always be unexpected. Good. Zhang Ming, he was startled. That depends. If it is just a spar, there shouldn't be a problem and I won't be at a disadvantage. But if it is a life-and-death battle, I am definitely not their match. They are all battle maniacs. Thank you. The gloominess on Thousand Hands Demon Lord's face was swept away. The light aura behind him became more and more intense, as though the sun was about to jump out of the water. Zhang Ming, he shook his head. Even so, he cannot kill a gold-ranked martial artist. Is the sun about to rise? Haha, I knew it, you would definitely understand. Tang Tian was elated. It's not that he is too fast, it's that you are too slow. 7th brother looked at Zhang Ming and said, Your talent is strong and your conditions are good, but you lack initiative. You spend most of your energy on scheming and scheming. Now, other people can kill gold-ranked martial artists, but you, with your current speed, you will need at least 2 years to be able to squeeze yourself out of the top 3,000. Tang Tian struggled out of the water. He did not feel anything and looked around. Zhang Ming, he knew that there was something below and immediately perked up his ears. The light aura was so piercing that Tang Tian could not open his eyes. He could hear Thousand Hands Demon Lord shouting, Tang Tian, you must remember. Train in the thousand-cleaved demonic hand. Don't be deceived by your eyes. Zhang Ming, he opened his mouth but did not say anything. But why can other people do it? 7th brother said impolitely. That's right, it's illogical, but if other people can do it and you can't, then you lose. In this world there are only winners and losers. No one cares if you are illogical or not. Bang. 7th brother laughed. This is the most easily overlooked point. Seventh brother replied, lowered his head again and looked at the book. They're not the same. Seventh brother said, Sixth brother Yi is not seeking victory. What he seeks is not victory but excitement. He seeks the excitement of life and death. This kind of excitement is like an addictive drug. If you pay attention to sixth brother Ye's expression when he is injured, you will see that he enjoys it. Thus Tang Tian had a new nickname, Grindstone. Mr. Grindstone was not happy at all because he was being tortured by others to the point that he wished he was dead. Onyx Soul and the rest are like that. Anyway, they are very powerful, like the Honorable Martial Alliance. Alright, did you guys have Onyx Soul and Honorable Martial Alliance back then? We had them. So they were really so powerful. This guy seems to be distracted. Tell me about the current situation. Thousand Hand Devil Lord suddenly said. Zhang Ming, he was stunned once again. Zhang Ming, his face was flushed red. He was extremely ashamed. In the past few years he had indeed spent a lot of time and energy on social activities and worldly affairs, and had neglected his training. This terrifying ocean. Seventh brother's expression was solemn. Just like the competition between the few of you, it is not about who is more outstanding, whose family background is stronger, but whose sword is stronger, who will win in the end. You have an invincible sword, so you do not need any schemes. I know you guys look down on sixth brother Yi, but sixth brother Yi still has a chance. Qiu Shan is already dead. Sixth brother Yi is not enough to wake you guys up. Then there is Tang Tian. Ming He, your sword is already rusty, you need to sharpen it. Yes, yes, yes. Seventh brother's mouth was rambling, his eyes staring greedily at the book. All right. Tang Tian replied loudly. Zhang Ming, he was unconvinced. I admit that Tang Tian has potential, but if his strength is already at our level, I do not believe it. Furthermore, even if he is at our level, it is impossible for him to kill a gold-ranked martial artist. Chapter 386. Xiao Xian was excited. The Lupus Army was the most popular army recently. Many people thought that the Lupus Army was stronger than the other armies in the northern sky. However, it was not without its hidden dangers. Tang Tian and his men were far weaker than the Leo constellation. If there were only a few enemies, it would be fine. But if there were a large group of enemies, they would not be able to defend against them. Everyone raised their spirits at the same time. Xiao Xian's words had also given birth to some fighting spirit in them. That's right. To be able to remain unscathed under Ji Xiaoye's attack. It is rare to see a martial artist of Tang Tian's level. Yuan Ji's eyes flashed. This must be the reason why Tu Zishan chose him. If there was such a member in the army, the strength of the army would increase tremendously. Most of the soldiers in the barracks were cultivating, and their shouts could be heard incessantly. Both of them looked at the soldiers of the Lupus army. Initially both of them were relaxed. Then what should we do? Angelina asked. Angelina was bitter. She knew Andre's intention, but there was nothing she could do because she had no cards in her hands. But Angelina thought that if there were a large group of enemies, the entire Andromeda constellation would be razed to the ground. She found Tang Tian's manor, but found out from Crane that Tang Tian was in closed-door training. She had no choice but to leave. On the way back she felt strange. The three of them were actually led by Tang Tian. Ta Dun nodded. He was not surprised. If there were no scouts, then he would have doubted the strength of the Lupus army. He told Xiao Xiyun, go and greet them. Don't cause any misunderstandings. Hurry up and make them into treasures so that we can equip the army. Ta Dun said, we need to have the strength to protect ourselves. The soldiers' strength was average. With such strength they might not even be able to enter the plateau army. Xiao Xiyun understood and shouted towards the direction of the scouts. The commander of the plateau army, Ta Dun, is here to pay a visit to your regiment commander. Please inform him. Andre recalled what he saw and agreed. That's right. He seems to be able to sense danger ahead of time. His intuition is very strong. Ta Dun clenched his fist in excitement. 100 energy beasts, that means at least 100 sets of Andromeda's treasures. If we equip them with our army, even if they send another gold-ranked martial artist, we will not be afraid. That makes sense. Andre suddenly understood. Ta Dun and Xiao Xiyun looked at each other. Although the camp looked rough, it was very strict. However, your highness doesn't need to value this person too much. His last attack was a complete mess. There was no strategy at all. If not for the fact that Ji Xiaoye did not hold back, he would have been dead by now. Yuan Ji relaxed and laughed. Xiaoya was too careless. In the end, she underestimated her opponent. If it were any other warrior, would Xiaoya dare to go all out? Yuan Ji had a gratified look on his face. Although Andre was young, he was outstanding in every aspect. Ever since Wu Wu was #1 in martial arts, the Lupus army had become famous, and everyone was still somewhat unconvinced. To them, the Lupus army was just a bunch of rookies. How could they be called an army? Everyone in the Plateau army was a veteran with at least 5 years of experience, and had always looked down on the new recruits. I don't think we were treated well in the past. Andre and Yuan Ji watched the video attentively. There were many people watching the battle between Tang Tian and Xiaoya. Many of the martial artists had recorded the entire battle, and they had specially bought a set of the video. When he saw Angelina waiting for him at the city gate, his sharp gaze subconsciously softened. Ta Dun's body was tall and sturdy. His skin was tanned and his face was full of hardships. He sat upright on the horse's back. His gaze was as sharp as a sword, and it sent shivers down people's spines. Angelina threw herself into Ta Dun's arms. She could no longer hold back her tears, and they flowed freely. Ta Dun gently patted Angelina's back and softly said, "It's all over now, Angelina. No matter what, I will not let you suffer anymore." Angelina cried even louder. Ta Dun remained silent as he listened to the soldiers' discussion. He looked at the fairy maiden city that was riddled with scars, and his face darkened. The number of attacks that the fairy maiden city had suffered in the past 2 months was more than any other time. Is that true? Angelina was taken aback. He was pleasantly surprised. The Honorable Martial Alliance's gold-ranked martial artist made her restless. Just a few gold-ranked martial artists were enough to destroy the entire Andromeda constellation. You might be able to win occasionally, but it is not the right way. Your Highness, please do not be tempted by Tang Tian's victory. Your Highness is rich and powerful. You need to win fair and square. A victory like Tang Tian's is meaningless. Yuan Ji's words sounded like he was admonishing Ta Dun. None of the soldiers dared to laugh. They had heard about the changes in the fairy maiden city in the past few days. The current Angelina was not only the daughter of their commander, but the master of the entire Andromeda constellation. When Ta Dun heard about the death of Astaland and Astaland, he was enraged and clenched his fists tightly. But when he heard that the culprit behind the explosion of the fairy palace was his daughter, he was dumbfounded and could not speak for a long time. Angelina suddenly thought of Tang Tian and the other two. The current Lupus constellation and Andromeda constellation were bound together for good or bad. Tang Tian and the rest would definitely not allow Andromeda constellation to fall into the hands of the Honorable Martial Alliance. Not yet. Angelina immediately replied. Father. Yes. Ta Dun nodded his head and said excitedly, if it was a normal star treasure, it would not have such an effect. But the quality of the star treasures nurtured by the fabric is the same. It is suitable for the army to equip. The army is currently equipped with fabrics. Although they are considered high quality, they have not been nurtured by the star power. Compared to star treasures, they are still lacking. But with these fabrics, our plateau army is already the leader of the Northern Sky Army. If we are able to equip star treasures, our fighting strength will increase by a few levels, and we will have the ability to protect ourselves. Yuan Ji was obviously more experienced than Andre. The contempt on his face disappeared and was replaced with a serious look. No, you have to pay attention to one detail. Although Tang Tian was at a disadvantage from the start and looked to be in a difficult situation, he was not injured at all. He has a strong sense of danger. This is rare. Let's go and pay a visit to the Lupus army, Ta Dun said. Ta Dun stood up and walked out of the manor. Angelina stopped crying after venting her emotions. Seeing so many people looking at her, she felt embarrassed. She quickly pulled her father back home. Xiaoya indeed underestimated the enemy. Andre agreed with Yuan Ji's point of view. That's good. Zhou Xian laughed and raised his voice. Everyone pay attention, don't let your peers look down on you. Whoever messes up, I will teach him a lesson when we get back. But when he heard about the 100 energy beasts, his eyes lit up and he asked, did you distribute the fabrics? To her, Crane was the best candidate. He was elegant, calm and wise. After returning home and finishing their meal, Angelina brought her father to the study room and told him everything that had happened during this period of time in detail. Moreover, it was the Lupus constellation that was so poor that even birds did not shit. Andrei laughed. After the battle with the Honorable Martial Alliance, we have done something for the Andromeda constellation. Angelina seems to have other thoughts and does not want to rely on us directly. Since that is the case, we should return. When he heard about the mysterious person who killed Zhou Xian, he felt a chill down his spine. He asked gently, "Your Highness, what plans do you have for the Andromeda constellation?" "Master, where are we going?" The one who asked was the Vice Commander Zhou Xian. He was Ta Dun's right-hand man. Not only was he loyal, but he was also calm and outstanding. Zhou Xian played an extremely crucial role in suppressing the rebellion so quickly. "No way, why do we seem to be so popular all of a sudden?" He led the way. Very quickly they entered the forest. The soldiers of the plateau army revealed looks of disdain. In comparison, the things that happened in the past few days were not as shocking as what Angelina had experienced. Ta Dun was much more normal. "Wait a minute. Then I will go now." Angelina stood up and left in a hurry. Suddenly, Ta Dun was attracted by a shout from another direction. He subconsciously turned his head and his pupils shrank. Angelina became excited. "They still have energy beasts. They said they will only sell 100 of them." Following the scouts, they quickly reached the Lupus army's camp. Ta Dun was much more experienced than Angelina. He nodded. "Seems like they have the same thoughts as us. But we do not know if they want to sell them or prepare for their own army. If they want to sell them, we will buy them. If it is the latter, then we will have to negotiate." "I do not know what to say." Andrei laughed bitterly. "I do not understand how Tang Tian won. Logically, he should not have any chance of winning." Andrei's departure caught Angelina off guard. She quickly understood Andrei's intention. Andrei was retreating to advance. Andromeda constellation's high-leveled forces were swept clean. Andromeda City was defenseless. Without the protection of Leo constellation, once the Honorable Martial Alliance sent people over, Andromeda constellation would not be able to defend. Suddenly, Zhou Xian whispered to Ta Dun, "There's a scout." Andrei bowed. Andrei will remember Master Yuan's words. A Lupus army scout came out from the bushes. "My commander invites you over. Please come with me." The plateau army's return caused the citizens to cheer. It was as though Andromeda City was celebrating a festival. This also caused the morale of the army, which was low due to the turmoil, to rise up. Return. Yuanji was taken aback. But after a while he regained his senses and smiled. "Your Highness's idea is brilliant." Not long after, he brought a group of guards and headed into the forest. The only thing that made her happy was that her father's army had finally reached Andromeda City. Chapter 387. Where is it not done well? Tengi asked coldly. As if they had been granted amnesty, the 10 of them hurriedly shouted in unison, "Yes." Three Spirit City became prosperous, and the majestic bronze base became the symbol of Three Spirit City. With the continuous increase in members, the originally spacious bronze base gradually became crowded. Thus, Bing and Sai Lei discussed for a while and started a new round of expansion. What made Ta feel even more inconceivable was that the 10-star spirit horse's footsteps were in unison. He imagined in his mind, if he were to encounter such an assault, how would he deal with it? Such orderly, hurried, heavy hoofbeats, how terrifying was that? With that, Tengi immediately left. Zhou Xian consoled him. "Luckily their individual soldiers are not strong and Lupus constellation's innates are too weak." Zhou Xian's expression became solemn. "This is definitely an elite army. Their soldiers are not strong, but their discipline and obedience is high, which I have never seen before. Their heavy spear assault is extremely powerful and ordinary armies like us are unable to defend against it. Their individual soldiers are too weak. If we were to fight against them, we should choose to fight in a more complicated environment, for example urban warfare, that way we can display our advantage. And their equipment is also very poor, which will make their survivability on the battlefield very weak. Basically, this is an extremely extreme-style army. Their attack power is outstanding, but their survivability is weak." Zhou Xian and the rest's faces darkened. Tang Yi's actions were too rude. They were after all guests, and he did not even invite them to a seat or even a cup of tea. A crisis was quietly approaching. Inside the barracks, Tang Yi heard the scout report. "They have already left. The entire army assault, was like a ferociously thrown heavy spear, heavy and powerful, extremely terrifying. The 10 of them who had completed their assault slowed down, but at this time the 10 of them were still in sync. Their footsteps were not messed up, as though there was an invisible thread connecting the 10 of them. The target was immediately smashed into pieces, breaking into pieces. He suddenly asked, "General Tang, I wonder what is the purpose of this assault?" The 10 of them who had just completed their assault kept quiet in front of him. "What if they are equipped with textile raised star treasures?" Ta Dun asked. To the current 3-spirit city, the components required for a small-scale energy hall were just child's play. The current 3-spirit city had already become a new mechanical city, with countless of mechanical engineers coming over. Sai Lei had long been jealous of Old Man Fei's huge group. Without saying a word, he started to recruit people and buy horses, forming an equally huge mechanical engineer group. If the enemy was at the front, they would only see the martial artist at the front. "Train 50 more times," Tang Yi said coldly. There were many constellations in Heaven's Road, and they all had their own way of doing things, thus the military ranks were rather chaotic. But regardless of which constellation's military ranks, a warrant officer was a rather low military rank and definitely could not lead an army. However, Ta Dun could see that the Lupus soldiers respected Tang Yi from the bottom of their hearts. Ta Dun shook his head. "Not only you, all of us have committed the same crime. Tell me the result of your observation." The martial artist in the lead mustered up his courage. The final joint attack of the Saber Radiance was not done well. Ta Dun regained his composure and looked at Xiao Xiyun. "How is it?" The wealth of 3-spirit city shocked countless people. Ta Dun said, "They were the ones who sold the energy beasts. I am here today to ask, why did you invade Andromeda Constellation's territory?" Ta Dun was not intimidated by the shock and said in a deep voice, "This is Andromeda Constellation, and you did not inform us before brazenly trespassing, and did not seek our permission to build a military camp here. This is something we will not allow. Please do not call me general, my military rank is warrant officer." Tang Yi corrected Ta Dun's mistake and continued, "They are currently training in a subject called heavy spear assault." Ta Dun's face changed. Ta Dun quivered, only to see the 10 Saber Radiants suddenly combining into one, dragging a long trail of light, with a heavy whistling sound. It was like a powerful light spear, accurately hitting the target. Xiao Xiyun suddenly thought of the rumors about the energy beasts and immediately reacted and exclaimed, "Don't tell me they have energy beasts too?" The heavy spear assault was a type of assault tactic that Bing had specially created for the Lupus army. The Lupus army soldiers had awakened the ancient wolf blood meridians, and the specialty of the ancient wolf blood meridians was that they could communicate with each other, but they could only communicate with 2 of their comrades, so the heavy spear assault tactic was perfect for them. Tang Yi heard about the Sky Wolf Martial Academy's energy hall. Without hesitation he found Bing and requested to build a small-scale energy hall. The biggest problem for the Lupus army was that the individual strength of the Lupus martial artists were too weak. In Tang Yi's eyes, the energy hall was like a welcome rain after a long drought. Right at this moment, a thunderous roar pierced through the sky. Ever since the Yong and City's mechanical army was formed, the reputation of the mechanical spirit weapons immediately rose. Everyone in the mechanical circle knew that if one wanted to buy an ordinary mechanical spirit weapon, the Mo family was the best choice.